Well, this morning I was doing some work and I wish I'd had my camera because it's such a vivid picture this morning of the sun and the moon in the sky together. And they seem extra close this morning from what I've ever seen before. And it was a half moon. And I said to somebody in the street, I said, look up there. Look at that half moon. How can that not be a full moon? There's the sun, there's the moon. How could it only light up half of it if that's what's happening, that it's reflecting? Now, what I mean by a half moon, same as the picture up on my Jungle Surfer channel. So imagine it's a line down here, that's all you can see, this half, and the sun was right there. Now, tomorrow I'll make sure I get the camera out and I take a photo and I can clearly show you and you'll see yourself. Absolute joke to think that the sun is reflecting onto the moon and that's the light of the moon. The moon has to be its own light and it has to have some strange things about it that cause it to go from a quarter to full and totally independent of the sun. Now, I'm really happy that the Dave J channel, Dave Johnson, he should get his proper channel back, and I wish people would say things to YouTube about Franco and Dave J. Those two channels definitely didn't deserve to be taken down. No swearing on those channels, just information. And so I wish all the best to Dave Johnson and to Franco because I hope they can get their channels back. I hope enough people listen to what I'm saying here and make some moves on that and contact Google. If there's a Google office in your town, go and speak to them at the desk. Any way you can. We need those channels back because they are good channels that gave good information. And here's a Dave Jones video here. The moon is alight at 170,000 feet. Now this is quite an old video and he's re-uploaded it. So it's only had 235 views. I'm sure it had, I don't know, maybe over 100,000 views. So it's only gone up on July 28th. And the mirrored effect is explained in this here. It's a great video, so go and watch this video. And there's the new Dave Johnson channel there. So if you type this in, certainly Dave's made some comments on some of my videos. Go and look for him there. But we'll just play a bit of it. Because fantastic video, this one. And there are a few others saying the same thing around if you need some extra confirmation, as in somebody else saying the same thing and you add it all together. Gee, they couldn't all be wrong. Of course not. I said this morning the moon was a half and the sun was very close to it. It should have been full. There's no way if you hold two objects up, one a light and one a ball, and they're inside of each other, it's going to make the whole ball that you're holding up without a light on it glow. But this is not what we see with the moon. Half of it just wasn't there.
The moon itself is at a height of 32.234 miles high. That's just over 170,000 feet. Now let me explain to you, at that altitude, that height above the flat plane of Earth, what you call Earth, the dirt, you run into a different atmospheric concentration of gases. You run into what are called lighter than air gases, and one in particular, neon. Neon allows, as you know, things to glow. All right. So this is just pictures of the moon light coming into view, and as you can tell, it's quite bright. And what I'm going to do is take with the next few.
Let me just make that point for people who can't see any of this. Remember when they showed you they went to the moon? The moon was grey. Yet any time you look at the moon, it's bright. You see, there's just no way those people were walking on a rocky moon. That was just total balderdash.
Photos and just blend them in while I tell you some things. Is just take a long exposure shot, which is just allowing as much light into the camera as it can take, and then that's going to highlight the sky for you and show you that in fact the illusion, the blue illusion, can also then be created at night, depending on how long you want to leave your your shutter open, okay? So then, with that in mind, you have this idea of the moonlight, and you can see this, if you notice these images, you're going to see a splashing on the side of colors, red and blue, making a purplish. Alright, it's going to be off to the side. And what that is that's going to be the source of this projection. Now, each one of these, the sun included, has a source of projection. This one in particular I've taken a photograph of it. I'm going to show you that as soon as I explain a little bit more of the mechanics of this to you. So then you have a plane, and planes are nothing more than atmosphere changes precisely, allowing and disallowing combustion, let's say at 172,000 feet, where then the O2 is at 0. So then combustion is just out the window. So
that's a very good point he's making about combustion too. As I said, I think we're really limited to around the 50,000 feet. If you think those big jets do 35, I'm sure they could go 1,000 or 2 or 3 higher, but then they're going to start to run into problems. So they just don't go, they leave a bit of safety margin, you might say. But I had a guy who was a pilot, and he said he'd been to 50,000 feet, and he said no control. He couldn't wait to get down to 45, where he could start to feel the steering wheel again. And he was complimenting me on my video, because I'm one of the only people who said this can only go to 50,000 feet. We have all these balloons going up to 100,000 feet. I don't believe any of them. They always show a black and a white sort of look, like in daytime they find black space. I don't think you would be able to do that. If the sun was present in the sky near you, it's all going to be blue, as high as we will ever go, which is 50,000 feet. But even if you went higher, it's still going to be blue. You're not going to see that black. Of course, when the sun is far enough away, we have the night sky. And I think light possibly only travels a set distance. It would depend on the amount of atmosphere it has to go through. Now you can think about this yourself. If you had a little torch and you went a football field away from the torch, you can still see it. But by the time you got enough distance, say a few kilometres from a torch, you're not going to see the torch anymore. Unless it's a really big spotlight, of course. I mean, the bigger the light, the further you're going to see it, the more power and looms in it. But basically, light has run out time, you know, and it'll only go so far. We tend to think, because they've taught us this, millions and billions of miles of light, taking millions of years of light years to get there, all that rubbish. I don't believe one bit of it. I believe light has limiting factors, just like everything else around us seems to have limiting factors, and the limiting factors are a lot more than they say. And they tend to make us think that you can just do anything, because they can. NASA is all-powerful. But I tell you now, they're not going much higher than commercial jet airliners. And here's Franco's new channel. Again, it'd be unreal, folks, if you could go and protest about the Dave J and Franco channels being taken down. Here's Art in London. It's an interesting thing. I see he's mirrored my tea video. Let's have a quick look at this. And might help him get back on the board a bit. But it'd be good if we could have his original channel. That's interesting, you know. That was good, Franco. I like that. Yeah, stuff's all around us, isn't there?
The Alchemist. Coincidence theory? This one's a bit strange. Also particularly good as a skateboard ramp, apparently. It's like a science theme, like measurement. It's to scientifically focus for hypnotism or something. And also, I guess, provide ample shade from the rain. clouds coming. I think it's going to rain. We've seen this one before. I understand it better now, though. Now I get the
That's a very interesting one indeed. Just a pile of bricks.
meme. It's the building blocks of life crumbling, falling apart, being artificially replaced with the
How weird is all that bit there? Anyway, there's the Franco channel for you, and he's got uploads happening. Good on you, Franco, for powering on against the adversity that they've put on us, you know? Because it has been terrible, shocking. That is for certain.